Ladies and gentlemen, you know every day they wake up to the harsh light of reality, but peace never quite finds them, does it? Instead, it's regret that lingers, wrapping them in a suffocating haze of memories. They think of you not just fleetingly, but obsessively. They remember the words that were never spoken, the actions that were never taken, and the apology that never came. Every moment, they go through the motions of life, but underneath the surface, there's a constant battle being waged. They want to apologize, they need to apologize, but their stubborn ego keeps them locked in chains. Each day they wake up to the cruel truth that they can't take back. What was said or unsaid, they can't undo the damage they've caused, but somehow their ego refuses to let them make things right. It would be easy to say that it's pride that stands in the way, but it's more than that. It's a defense mechanism that they've built over years and years of living with a distorted sense of self. To apologize would be to admit that they are flawed, that they have failed, and that's something they can't allow themselves to do. Because once they admit that flaw, once they acknowledge the fault, it's as if they unravel everything they've built. So they stay silent, trapped in their own mind where their pride and their shame fight for dominance. They've convinced themselves that time will heal everything, that distance will make the wounds fade. But deep down, they know the truth, don't they? Time doesn't heal all wounds. It only buries them deeper. The longer they go without acknowledging the hurt they've caused, the more it festers inside them, growing like an infection until it consumes every part of who they are. But they won't admit that, not to themselves, and certainly not to anyone else. Instead, they wear the mask of indifference and carry on as if nothing matters. But deep inside, there's a gnawing emptiness, a hole that only the apology could fill. But they refuse to let go of their pride. It eats at them because they know that they have the power to heal the rift, to take the first step to make amends, but they won't do it. Why? Because to apologize is to relinquish control. It's to step into a place of vulnerability, a place where they no longer hold the upper hand. And that scares them. That terrifies them. For once they apologize, they no longer have the power to dictate the outcome. Once they apologize, they surrender the narrative of the situation. They release the grip they've had over everything. And that's something they simply can't bear. So they stay silent. They remain stuck in the web they've woven for themselves, too proud to admit they are not perfect, too afraid to confront their own shortcomings. They live with the lie that things will work themselves out, that somehow the pain will fade, that the distance will erase the tension. But they don't understand that time doesn't heal if the wound is never treated. They don't realize that silence doesn't ease the guilt, it only multiplies it. Every day they carry the weight of their mistakes, and every day they try to hide it behind the walls they've built around themselves. But here's the truth, they can't run from it. No matter how hard they try, they can't escape the consequences of their actions. Their ego might shield them from the immediate discomfort, but it only prolongs the agony. Every day they feel the tension between what they want to say and what they're too proud to admit. Every day they fight the urge to reach out to make things right, because their ego tells them that doing so would make them weak, and so they continue to suffer in silence. The problem with this is that suffering in silence doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't make you better. It simply isolates you. It makes you more and more disconnected from the ones you care about and from your own soul. You tell yourself that you're protecting yourself by holding on to your pride, but in reality, you're only building a prison around yourself. The longer you stay in that prison, the more you lose touch with who you truly are. In the quiet moments, when there's no one else around, the truth creeps in. The truth that you could have said something, you could have made a change, you could have fixed it, but you didn't. And in those moments, the regret hits harder than ever. It's suffocating, it's overwhelming, and it drowns you in self-loathing. But still, your ego refuses to let you act. It convinces you that you're the one in control. It tells you that if you just hold on a little longer, you'll somehow come out on top. But the truth is that you're only delaying your own downfall, because in holding on to your pride, you're letting go of everything that truly matters. You're letting go of connection, you're letting go of love, and you're letting go of the possibility of redemption. And let's not forget the lie that somehow saying you're sorry is a sign of weakness. That's a myth, isn't it? It's not weakness to apologize. It takes incredible strength to admit you were wrong. It takes courage to look someone in the eyes and say that you failed them. That's not weakness. That's the mark of someone who understands the value of the relationship and who is willing to put their ego aside for the sake of it. But they don't see it that way, do they? No, they view apology as a concession, a loss of power. What they fail to realize is that holding on to their pride is the true loss. By refusing to apologize, they are losing the very thing that could bring them peace. They are sacrificing their future for the sake of a hollow victory in the present. You see, when you refuse to apologize, you're not protecting yourself. You're damaging yourself. You're building a wall around your heart that keeps you from experiencing true connection and growth. You may think you're protecting your pride, but in reality, you're sacrificing your peace, your relationships, and your future for the illusion of control. The truth is that the longer you hold on to that pride, the more it rots you from the inside out. It creates a void in you, a space where your humanity used to be, and all that's left is a hollow shell of who you once were. And no matter how much you try to fill that space with achievements or distractions, it will never be enough. There's a part of you that knows this isn't the way to live. There's a part of you that knows deep down that it's time to let go of the ego and face the truth. But that part of you is buried under layers of pride and fear. And every time you come close to acknowledging it, every time you get close to reaching out, every time you almost take the first step, your ego pulls you back in, telling you to hold on just a little longer. But the longer you wait, the more the damage piles up. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to repair what's been broken. And one day you'll wake up and realize that it's too late. The opportunity to make things right will have passed, and all that will be left is the regret that you've carried with you all this time. The sad reality is that most people never learn this lesson until it's too late. They go through their lives holding on to their pride and their ego, thinking that they can outrun the consequences of their actions. But life doesn't work that way. It doesn't forget. It doesn't let you get away with it. And one day it catches up with you. One day you'll find yourself looking at the wreckage of what could have been, and all you'll have left is the hollow echo of a life that could have been different. That's the price you pay for refusing to apologize. That's the price you pay for allowing your ego to stand in the way of your growth. The truth is that an apology is not a sign of defeat. It is the ultimate act of strength. It takes courage to admit when you've been wrong. It takes bravery to step into the discomfort of vulnerability and to make things right. But you see, it's not just about making amends with others. It's about making amends with yourself. Every day that you hold on to your pride, you are punishing yourself. Every day that you refuse to apologize, you are telling yourself that your mistakes don't matter, that your relationships don't matter, that your peace doesn't matter. But deep down, you know that they do. The ego is a powerful force, but it is not invincible. It will tell you that you're better off without others, that you don't need them, that you can do it all on your own. But that's a lie. You need others. You need connection. You need to be able to face your mistakes and make things right. Without that, you're nothing but a hollow shell of a person driven by fear and insecurity. So ask yourself this: is your pride really worth it? Is the temporary comfort of holding on to your ego worth the lifelong pain of regret? Is the fear of vulnerability worth the destruction of everything you hold dear? The choice is yours. You can choose to continue living in the grip of your ego, or you can choose to break free and take the first step toward healing. You can choose to let go of the pride that binds you, or you can choose to live a life of quiet suffering. But make no mistake, the longer you wait, the harder it will be. The longer you wait, the more damage you do to yourself and to those around you. The longer you wait, the more the regret will consume you. So ask yourself, what are you willing to lose? What is your ego worth? And what will you do when you realize that the only thing standing between you and peace is your own stubborn pride? What is your ego worth? What is this stubborn pride of yours truly protecting? Because when you look closely, you realize that it doesn't protect you. No, it doesn't give you strength. It isolates you. It creates a barrier between you and the world around you. It convinces you that you're above the things that make you human, and in doing so, it strips you of your humanity. You think it's shielding you, but in reality, it's creating a cage, a prison, and you're the one who's locked inside it. Every time you refuse to face the truth, every time you refuse to apologize, you're feeding this monster, this lie that tells you that humility is weakness and that an apology is a surrender. But that's not what an apology is. It's not giving up your power, it's reclaiming it. What you fail to understand is that the act of apologizing isn't a sign of defeat. It's not an admission that you are lesser. Quite the opposite. It's an admission that you are strong enough to confront your own flaws. It's a recognition that you too are capable of making mistakes, and that your relationships with others are worth more than the fragile shield of pride you have carefully built around yourself. The true victory lies in the ability to put that pride aside and reach out with sincerity. That takes courage. That takes strength. Strength not of the body, not of the will, but of the soul. And so, you continue to stand there, with your walls high, looking at the wreckage of relationships that could have been saved, conversations that could have healed, wounds that could have been mended. Each day that passes, you feel that guilt gnawing at you, and it burns because you know you could have done something. But the ego whispers, no, wait, let it pass. Let them come to you. Let them acknowledge their part in this too. So you wait. You wait, and you wait, and the silence only deepens the wound. The gap between you grows wider. The chance for resolution slips further away. You look at yourself in the mirror, and you see it. The missed opportunities, the unspoken words, the connections lost forever. But here's the truth. No matter how many days go by, no matter how much time you think you have, the reality is that nothing heals itself. Nothing repairs itself without intervention. Time will not fix the space between you and the people you care about. Time will not wash away the weight of your pride. You cannot continue to believe that the world will just forget your absence, your silence, or your refusal to act. Because the world doesn't forget. The world moves forward, and it leaves you behind. And there's nothing worse than being left behind, is there? There's nothing more crushing than realizing far too late that your pride has cost you more than you could ever measure. It has cost you people, it has cost you peace, and it has cost you your own integrity. Because when you refuse to apologize, you're not just keeping a grudge against someone else. You're building a grudge against yourself. You're choosing to live with the regret of what could have been, and you're locking yourself in a cage where no growth can happen, no healing can take place. You can dress it up any way you like. You can tell yourself that you're standing firm, that you're being true to yourself. But the truth is, you're cowering. You're hiding behind a false sense of pride because the thought of being vulnerable, of admitting that you are wrong scares you more than the idea of living with this guilt forever. But let me tell you something. That fear you have, that fear of being vulnerable, is the very thing that's holding you back from the most powerful transformation you can ever experience. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the source of your greatest strength. You see, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you lower your defenses and admit your faults, you open the door to growth. You allow room for self-reflection, and in that moment, you embrace the full spectrum of what it means to be human. To err is to be human, and to admit it is to step into your power. The ego wants you to believe that to apologize is to lose, but the truth is that it is the path to freedom. It is the path to understanding, to peace, and ultimately, to connection. There is a deep, unsettling truth that you have yet to fully acknowledge. By holding on to your pride, you are denying yourself the possibility of reconciliation, not only with others, but with yourself. Every day you refuse to let go, you become further distanced from your authentic self. You lose touch with the part of you that knows humility and empathy. The more you hold on to that pride, the more you become a stranger to yourself. The mask you wear grows heavier and heavier until you can no longer remember who you truly are beneath it all. You tell yourself that you are protecting yourself, but in reality, you are losing yourself. And that is a far greater loss than any apology could ever cost you. As you stand on this precipice, teetering between the life you are living and the life you could have, ask yourself, what is the price of your pride? What will it cost you to continue down this path? Every day you delay, the more isolated you become. Every day you choose silence over action, the further away peace seems. And the saddest part of all is that you might never truly realize what you have lost until it's too late. By the time you understand the cost of your stubbornness, it may be impossible to turn back. Relationships may have withered, bridges may have burned, and once you've reached that point of no return, there will be no apology big enough to undo the damage. Do you really want to live like that? Do you really want to spend the rest of your life haunted by the ghost of what could have been? Every moment of hesitation, every second of pride, builds the wall between you and your redemption. And each brick you lay makes it harder to find your way back. But it's never truly too late. It's never too late to strip away the ego, to acknowledge your flaws, to reach out and say, I was wrong. It may not always be easy, and the road to reconciliation may be long and difficult, but at least it is a road, and that road leads somewhere better than where you are now. It's time to ask yourself, really ask yourself, what are you afraid of? Is it the shame of admitting your mistakes? Is it the fear that apologizing will make you less than you believe yourself to be? Are you so determined to appear strong that you would rather suffer in silence than show any vulnerability? Or is it that the idea of reconnecting with someone, of opening up to them, feels like you would be giving away a part of yourself that you don't want to part with? The truth is that by holding on to this pride, you're not protecting yourself. You're only making it harder for yourself to move forward. You're not preserving your integrity, you're suffocating it. As long as you continue to believe that the act of apologizing is a concession, you will remain trapped. But the moment you choose to let go of that notion, you unlock a new level of freedom. When you choose to apologize, you choose to set yourself free from the grip of your own ego. You choose to release the power that your pride has over you and reclaim the possibility of peace. It's not a weakness to admit your flaws. It's a declaration that you value what you stand to gain more than what you stand to lose. And when you finally come to understand this, when you finally allow yourself the grace to apologize, you will be surprised at what happens next. The walls that you've built will begin to crumble, and in their place, something greater will emerge: understanding, healing, connection. it won't happen overnight. It may take time to rebuild what was lost, but you will have taken the first step, and that first step is the hardest, the most crucial. Once you make that move, everything else will follow, piece by piece, until the scars left by your ego's rule are healed. So now, as you stand on the edge of this decision, look within and ask yourself, is your pride worth it? Is it worth losing everything that could have been for the sake of some hollow victory over yourself? Or are you ready to let go, to take the first step toward redemption, toward peace, toward healing? The choice is yours. You stand at a crossroads, the path stretching out before you, each step carrying the weight of your decision. You are the one in control, whether you acknowledge it or not. You can choose to keep walking down the road you've been traveling, the one that promises nothing but isolation, regret, and an ever-deepening sense of emptiness. That path, the one that has been carved by your pride and ego, is familiar to you. It offers a strange kind of comfort, a comfort in knowing that you can keep hiding from the truth, keep pretending that everything is okay. But deep down, you know it isn't. You know that every moment you cling to that ego, you're sacrificing your peace of mind, your ability to connect with others, and your very soul's potential for growth. Or you can choose the other path, the one that takes courage to walk, the one that is shadowed with the discomfort of facing your flaws, the one that forces you to lower your defenses and admit your mistakes, the one that requires vulnerability, the very thing your ego wants to protect you from. That path is not easy. It's rocky, it's uncertain, and it might even feel like you're losing everything you've ever held on to. But here's the truth. In choosing this path, you are not losing anything. You are gaining everything. You are gaining the power to heal, to mend what was broken, to build something far stronger than the fragile facade you've been wearing. The ego wants you to believe that admitting you were wrong means you are weak, that apologizing makes you less than. But that's a lie, isn't it? Look around you at the world, the strongest people, the ones who inspire respect and admiration, are often the ones who possess the strength to apologize when they've wronged someone. They don't hide behind pride. They don't waste their energy pretending to be perfect, because they know the truth. No one is. Perfection is an illusion, and it's in accepting that reality that you find true freedom. When you choose to apologize, you are not saying, I am less than you. What you're saying is, I value our relationship more than my ego. I recognize my mistakes, and I am willing to make things right. That is the mark of true strength. That is the mark of a person who is wise enough to see beyond their own inflated sense of self and understands that the value of human connection, the value of integrity, is far greater than the pride that holds you captive. But why is it so difficult for you to apologize? What is it about your pride that keeps you in a chokehold, whispering to you that you're better off alone? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it insecurity? Perhaps it's a combination of all those things. And yet, none of those feelings are insurmountable. You are far stronger than they give you credit for. You are far more resilient than your ego wants you to believe. The truth is that you are capable of change. You are capable of growth. And the first step in that journey begins with letting go of the thing that has held you back for so long, your ego. But don't make the mistake of thinking that this is just about apologizing to others. It's also about apologizing to yourself. Because the longer you hold on to your pride, the longer you live in denial of your mistakes, the more you are harming yourself. The guilt will eat away at you. The regret will weigh heavily on your heart. And you will find that no matter how much you try to distract yourself, no matter how many achievements you collect, or how many material possessions you accumulate, nothing will quiet the noise in your mind. Nothing will fill the emptiness inside until you face the truth, until you let go of the pride that keeps you chained to a life of inauthenticity. The ego tells you that you don't need anyone else, that you can do it all on your own. But that's a lie too, isn't it? Deep down, you know you need connection. You need human touch, understanding, and love. No one can live a life isolated from others and expect to feel truly fulfilled. We are social creatures, wired for connection, and when we distance ourselves from the people who matter most, we lose a part of ourselves in the process. The longer you hold on to your pride, the further away you push those who love you, those who could help you heal. And eventually, you'll find that the distance becomes too great, the walls too thick. The relationships you once cherished will slip through your fingers like sand, and you will be left standing alone, surrounded by the ruins of what could have been. It's a tragic thing to live a life filled with what-ifs. What if you had apologized sooner? What if you had reached out, broken through the walls of your pride, and allowed yourself to be vulnerable? What if you had chosen love over ego, connection over isolation? But it's not too late. It is never too late, so long as there is breath in your lungs and time to make things right. The question you must ask yourself now is this: will you continue down the path of pride, or will you choose the path of healing? Choosing the path of healing requires immense strength, and though it might feel like you are losing, you are actually gaining. You are gaining freedom. You are gaining peace. You are gaining the possibility of restoring what was broken. And above all, you are gaining yourself. When you release your pride, you are no longer weighed down by the shackles of your own self-importance. You are no longer held captive by the constant need to appear strong, to appear perfect, to be seen as invincible. Instead, you are free to be human, and that is the greatest freedom of all. Because the truth is that perfection is an illusion. We all make mistakes. We all fail at some point. We all hurt the people we love. But it is not the mistakes that define us. It is how we choose to respond to them. Will you continue to hide behind your pride? Or will you have the courage to face your mistakes and make things right? Will you continue to avoid the discomfort of vulnerability? Or will you step into it and find that in doing so, you step into your true strength? The power to heal, to repair, and to rebuild lies within you. You have the ability to make things right, to take that first step toward peace, and to restore what was lost. But it starts with you. It starts with the decision to let go of the pride that has held you captive for so long. It starts with the decision to face your flaws and say, "I am sorry." And in that moment, when the words finally leave your lips, you will experience something profound, a release. You will feel the weight lift off your shoulders, the chains fall away, and for the first time in a long time, you will experience what it feels like to breathe freely again. But here's the hard truth: it won't be easy, it won't be comfortable, and it might not happen all at once. Healing takes time. Rebuilding trust takes time. But the alternative, the path of stubborn pride, is a path of slow, suffocating destruction. Every day you delay, every day you choose pride over connection, you are losing a little bit more of yourself. You are losing the opportunity to build the relationships that could bring you the most joy, the most fulfillment, and the most growth. And in the end, the only thing you will have left is the hollow echo of what might have been. So, I ask you now, with everything I have, what will it be? Will you continue down the path of pride and allow it to destroy everything that you hold dear? Or will you choose to let go, to apologize, and to step into a new life? One that is defined not by your ego, but by your ability to love, to heal, and to embrace the imperfection that makes you human? The choice is yours. And remember, the the greatest strength lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Let go of your pride. Let go of your fear. Let go of the chains that have bound you for so long, and take that first step toward freedom. In the end, the choice is always yours. You can cling to your pride, and in doing so, continue to live in the quiet, suffocating prison of regret and isolation. Or you can summon the strength to let go, to apologize, to acknowledge your flaws and take the first step toward healing. It's not about weakness. It's about reclaiming your power and finding true peace. Let go of the ego that holds you back and embrace the vulnerability that allows you to grow, to repair, and to connect. Only then will you truly be free.